Good morning. Today is section 87, verses 1 through 4. And the date is December 25th, 1832 in Kirtland, Ohio. It is for the church, and it is a prophecy on war. Now, in these verses, 1 through 4, it does talk about how South Carolina will rebel, how the Civil War will come about, and how the southern states will call on other nations to help defend themselves, and also how the southern states will call on other nations, and how those nations will call on other nations to help defend themselves. So it's talking about the Civil War, and then also World War I and II, but war in general. And it's not a very pleasant section, but it is how it works. Here, this is the explanation. Satan loves war. Wherever he gains influence, war begins. As the nations of the earth prepare to wage war one with another, the destruction of nations will not be arbitrary. Instead, it will be punishment meted out by God. Where was it? There was another one. Oh, another explanation. The American Civil War was a judgment upon the United States for its treatment of the Latter-day Saints, just as worldwide war will also be God's judgment upon all nations for the same sin. So, I gotta sneeze. Every morning. Okay. So, basically, it's saying that war is it's another way that Heavenly Father punishes the wicked of the world. Now, as we can see from the past 18 months, that there was a pandemic, trying to turn the hearts of the people to God, but Satan had such an influence that war started. Portland is still on fire. But anyways, who wants to talk about that? I don't, not really. But anyways, meh. The podcast. The podcast said something that I found interesting. They said that in the 20th century, that it's been recorded that there's only been a few days where there hasn't been conflict or war in some part of the world. Just a few days. They didn't give a number, but a few days is not a year. A few days is not, in 100 years, there was a few days where there was peace throughout the entire planet. Some place, somewhere, there's always conflict. And then he said, if that's the case for the 20th century, then in the 21st century, there have been no days of peace, which is a frightening thought to think about, that there has been 0 days where somebody is not fighting with somebody, where there's not conflict somewhere in the world. That's a scary thought, but it's like Dad used to say, what part of these are the last days don't you understand? It's going to be, I don't know what else to say. It's like, you don't want to talk about war. You don't want to talk about political things. I'm sick of it. I'm so sick of it. Let's see, what else can it's a prophecy on war. How can you not talk about war when it's a prophecy on war? But, meh. I don't want to talk about any of this. I really don't. I don't want to talk about it. I mean, and go watch the podcast if you want to talk about war. There was a verse. There was a verse. Sorry. We're in 87, yeah. Verily, thus saith the Lord concerning the wars that will shortly come to pass, beginning at the rebellion of South Carolina, which will eventually terminate in the death and misery of many souls. And that's what war does to everybody. Death and misery to many souls. And, you know, Millie always jokes about going and living with the Amish just so that she can get away from it all. You know, when I read this section, I have this sense like it's not going to stop until the Lord comes. It's never going to stop. And it weighs you down so heavily, but, you know, you're just like, but the Lord's going to come. He's coming. He's been promising that he's going to come. He's going to come, and he's going to end it all, and everything will be peaceful and beautiful, and everybody will love everybody, and there won't be contention, and I mean, I guess you could internalize this into your own household. You know, is there contention? Is there conflict? How many days of peace do you have in your home? Does Satan have an influence in your home to where there is conflict every day? Is your house a place of refuge from the conflict of the world? You know, I suppose that's how we could take it. That's how I should take it. Am I putting conflict into the house, or am I bringing peace? There you go. I found something good. Yay. All right. So that was D&C 87 verses 1 through 4. And then tomorrow will be 5 through 8. And then we're done for the week? I don't know. The bishop asked me to finally give my talk, which I was supposed to give 3 weeks ago. So maybe I'll read that instead of... because I got no more scriptures to talk about on Sunday, so maybe I'll do that. All right. I love you all. I hope you have a great day. See you tomorrow.